Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that might resonate pretty deeply with many of you, maybe even without you fully realizing it's happening. We're going to talk about those relationships that, well, they look normal on the surface, right? But they leave you feeling utterly drained, confused, maybe even questioning your own peace. It's this feeling lots of us have quietly struggled with, maybe chalking it up to being too sensitive or just, bad days. So we've got a stack of sources here today, excerpts that really lay bare a perspective on how relationships work. That goes way beyond just toxic behavior. It gets into something the author calls hidden spiritual warfare in relationships. Now, it's important to be clear up front. These sources we're looking at, they use this powerful spiritual lens. They use terms like spiritual warfare, but it's presented more as a framework, you see. A way to describe these really profound, often invisible, energetic, and psychological battles that can play out. Our mission is just to understand these ideas as they're presented, whatever your personal beliefs might be.
Indeed. And it's not about, physical fights or anything like that. It's internal. The material suggests that, well, not every smile is genuine, basically. And sometimes the deepest damage doesn't come from obvious attacks. It comes from these subtle, almost energetic, manipulative interactions. Often within our closest circles, family, friends, it's not always loud conflict. More often it's this quiet, insidious wearing down of your spirit, happening right under your nose, maybe from people you'd least expect. It's a really potent way to think about why certain interactions just leave us feeling so depleted, even when nothing obviously bad happened.
Yeah, depleted is the word.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to unpack these insights, to help you maybe recognize these hidden forces before they cost you more than just your peace of mind. Because, like our sources suggest, the most dangerous people don't always have to insult you or physically hurt you.
Yeah.
Their very presence can just drain you, right down to your core. They don't need to yell. Just their energy alone can leave you feeling totally exhausted. So how do we start to unravel this? It sounds complex. Let's dig in.
The unseen battleground beyond surface level toxicity.
Okay, let's start with the feeling I bet many people listening have felt. You walk into a room, you're feeling fine, maybe even hopeful, like your battery's fully charged, right? Ready for the day, then you interact with certain people. And after they leave, poof, your energy's gone, your mood tanks, that inner calm you had is just shattered. It feels like this invisible weight just got dropped on you, and you're not even sure how it got there or why. You just know you feel less vibrant, less you.
Less is a good way to put it. The sources describe this exact thing, a heavy presence, conversations that just drain you. Or maybe a sudden wave of anxiety that just sticks around after they leave. And the crucial point here, the sources argue, is that this isn't always just toxic behavior in the usual sense. It's framed as spiritual warfare disguised as ordinary relationships. Now that sounds intense, but it's not meant like superstition. It's about a very real impact on your spirit, your core energy. It's not about literal ghosts, but about this profound, often unacknowledged energetic drain some people can inflict. That feeling of being heavier or drained, it's not just a metaphor in this view. It's a visceral, internal thing the sources say we really need to pay attention to. It's like a clear signal that something more than just surface chat is going on.
And we often try to explain it away, don't we? We make excuses. We think, oh, maybe they're just stressed, or am I just overthinking this? All right. You rationalize. You give the benefit of the doubt. You try to find some logical reason for feeling so off. You kind of push that nagging feeling down. But deep down, you know something's not right. You've probably asked yourself, maybe quietly, why do I always feel worse after being around this person? It's that question that just echoes, even if you try to ignore it, because the feeling is just so consistent.
Exactly. And that consistency, the sources argue, is evidence of something, well, deeper, maybe darker. It suggests you might be surrounded not by ghosts, but by what they call spirits living inside people. Now, let's unpack that term, spirits. In this context, it seems to mean these deeply ingrained, maybe unconscious patterns of behavior, emotional wounds, maybe unresolved trauma that drives people to act in ways that are really detrimental to others. It's presented as an explanation for why some people never pour into you, yet constantly demand more. More of your time, your sympathy, your energy. You effectively become their emotional dumping ground. You end up carrying stuff that was never yours to begin with. They just unload their emotional baggage, their stress, their chaos onto you. And you're left holding it all, feeling totally depleted, having received nothing back. Zero reciprocity. Think about that friend who only calls when they're in crisis, right? Spends an hour venting, dumping everything on you, then suddenly, whoa, gotta go, before you even get a chance to mention your own day. It's described as this totally one-way street of emotional or spiritual transfer. It just leaves you hollowed out.
Wow, spiritual parasitism. That term is incredibly vivid. It really paints a picture. So it's not just feeling tired. It's like the sources are suggesting an active process where someone's presence is literally kind of siphoning energy from your core. But how does that show up beyond just a vague feeling? Can we get more specific? What does that feeding actually look like day to day?
Yeah, absolutely. Think about it like this. Ever had a conversation where someone just consistently dumps all their emotional stuff on you? Their fears, their anxieties, their problems, but they never ask about you. Or if you try to share something, they somehow manage to deflect or turn it back to them. The sources describe this as exactly that. A one-way energetic transfer. You basically become their emotional trash can, right? Carrying their burdens with zero support coming back your way. The parasite, this view, feels maybe momentarily lighter they've offloaded, but you are left feeling heavy, drained, and often really confused about why your own energy just evaporated. It's this constant drain on your resilience, your optimism, maybe even your creativity. So the core idea presented is your energy is your currency, and not everyone deserves access to it. That's a direct quote. It encourages you to stop asking, am I too sensitive? That's often our default, isn't it?
Totally. We blame ourselves.
Yeah. Right. And instead, start asking, why does my spirit feel unsafe around them? That shifts the focus from self-blame to, like, a healthy assessment of your environment. It's self-protection. You're urged to really pay attention after every interaction. Do you walk away lighter or heavier? Encouraged or anxious? Feeling whole or hollow? This feeling, the sources say, signals the battle being fought in silence inside your spirit. Your internal alarm system, the one we often dismiss as just overthinking, is actually giving you crucial intel about the health of your spiritual, your emotional space. It's urging you to protect your most valuable asset, your inner peace.
The art of disguise masks and subtle sabotage.
Okay, but this battle, it isn't always obvious, is it? That's the scary part. In fact, our sources warn us quite explicitly. Demons don't always show up with horns and fire, which is, you know, the cartoon version. Sometimes they show up with a smile, speak gently, and call you family. That makes it incredibly hard to spot, right? Especially when the source of your unease is someone you love, someone who seems kind, trustworthy, maybe someone deeply woven into your life. It sounds like a really insidious kind of manipulation.
It is a powerful image, isn't it? Deliberately contrasting that stereotype of evil with something much more familiar, much more subtle.
Yeah.
The mask these individuals wear, especially in close circles, it hides something feeding off your light. And again, feeding off your light isn't just a poetic phrase here. It's presented as an active depletion. Imagine someone who maybe consistently gives you advice that subtly steers you away from your dreams.
Discourages you.
Yeah, or who always seems to zoom in on your flaws, your insecurities, while being completely blind to their own issues. If every time you interact with them, you end up feeling further from your own peace, your purpose, your sense of power, the sources are really clear. It's not just toxicity, it's spiritual sabotage. So what that means is, it's not just an unpleasant chat. It's seen as a deliberate, even if maybe subconscious, undermining your core self, your ability to actually thrive. The advice isn't necessarily to argue or fix them. It's more about recognizing the dynamic.
Seeing it for what it is.
Exactly. And then reclaiming your energy. It's about noticing that feeling of your light being dimmed, your drive being zapped, not because of external stuff, but by the very presence of this other person.
And how does the sabotage actually happen? The sources mention whispers and half-truths, a really venomous way to communicate. They highlight phrases like, I don't want to say anything, but... that classic setup, right? Or maybe you should watch out for them. It's not a direct hit, it's insinuation, planting little seeds of doubt. Doubts about people you might otherwise trust completely. Can you maybe paint a picture of how that might play out?
Sure. This is presented as a key tactic in how this kind of spiritual manipulation works. These little seeds are planted very specifically, the sources say, to divide you from those who actually care, to isolate you.
Isolation. That makes sense.
Yeah. So imagine you have a really close friend, someone you trust, and this manipulative individual casually drops a comment like, oh, I heard Sarah talking about that big career move you're planning. Nothing bad, of course, just she sounded a bit, I don't know, unenthusiastic maybe.
Ooh, just enough to make you wonder.
Exactly. Or they might say, look, I hate to cause trouble, but I overheard your brother saying he was worried about how much time you're spending on your art project. The goal isn't really to share helpful info. It's to sow discord, suspicion. The ultimate aim, as outlined in these sources, is to make themselves your only anchor while they quietly twist reality. Think of it like a slow poisoning of your social network, your emotional support system. Trusted bonds get subtly corroded. You start feeling adrift, vulnerable, and you become more reliant on the very person doing the manipulating.
They create a dependency.
Precisely. By systematically dismantling your support structure, they leave you isolated and way more susceptible to their influence and their version of reality.
And the sources emphasize this isn't like obvious chaos. It's not big dramatic fights necessarily. It's described as confusion that feels subtle, like a creeping fog that just blurs your perception of things. You might just feel this background hum of unease, maybe an inability to think clearly sometimes. But without being able to point to one specific thing that caused it, it's that ambiguity that's so disorienting, isn't it?
Totally. And what's really fascinating, according to the sources, is how it works to fracture your support system, your trust, your clarity, until they control your perception of reality itself. That's the end game described here. When you find yourself actually questioning good people, believing lies, and doubting your own discernment, you've already been pulled into their web. Wow. It isn't about grand, complex schemes usually. It's about the slow erosion of your confidence in your own judgment. You might find yourself arguing with a genuinely supportive friend because of some misunderstanding the manipulator planted, or second-guessing your own memory of what happened in a situation. This is how these subtle conversations become, in the language of the sources, acts of spiritual warfare, planting poison between you and your peace. The danger is really in its stealthiness, how it quietly undermines your ability to trust yourself and the people who genuinely have your back. It leaves you vulnerable to their narrative, their twisted version of things. It's described as a battle fought in the quiet spaces, inside your mind, inside your spirit, often without you even realizing you're on a battlefield.
It's like an invasion of your mental space.
Your mental and emotional sovereignty, yeah. Where your internal world gets subtly rearranged to serve their agenda, not yours.
The deeper agenda, envy, control, and the threat of your growth.
Okay, so let's dive deeper then. What are the motivations behind these behaviors? You said it's not always direct malice, but something more insidious, something rooted more in the manipulator's own internal stuff. The sources seem pretty clear on this.
They do. The sources reveal that these demonic spirits rarely scream. They whisper, they gaslight, they charm, they divide. And again, just to reiterate, when the sources use this term demonic spirits, it's crucial we understand it as they frame it. It's not literal demons in a religious sense. It's used as a powerful metaphor.
Right, for these ingrained destructive psychological patterns.
Exactly. These core energetic imbalances within people that manifest as manipulation, division, control. These aren't necessarily people twirling mustaches, plotting evil consciously, but individuals whose internal landscape, for whatever reason, operates in a way that actively undermines others. So when they say these spirits rarely scream, they're highlighting the sneaky, subtle nature of tactics like gaslighting or charming you while dividing you from others. These tactics are often far more effective at causing deep internal harm than overt aggression. And a significant pattern emerges from the text. Someone who always points out flaws but never owns their own, who stirs conflict but never seeks resolution.
The conflict stir.
Yeah. And this behavior isn't presented as protective, like they're looking out for you. No, it's isolation. And crucially, the sources state, once you're isolated, you're easier to control.
Ah, there it is again.
Yeah.
Control.
That's the insidious agenda described here. To disarm you by cutting you off from your allies, from your own self-trust, making you more pliable. They might play the victim constantly, or pretend they're the only one who truly understands you, all while carefully chipping away at your other connections, your other sources of support and validation.
This ties right into that idea that these individuals seem to celebrate your weaknesses, but actually resent your strengths. The sources say they comfort you at rock bottom, but when you rise, their mask slips. That's a really stark image. It suggests their true intentions, or at least the underlying energy, gets exposed. Can you elaborate a bit on what that mask slipping actually looks like? How does it feel?
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture painted in the sources, it shows that your healing threatens their hold. Your confidence exposes their insecurity. It's quite direct. They don't love you. They love the version of you that keeps them comfortable, the dependent you, the doubtful you, the version that needs their approval.
The version they can manage.
Exactly. So when you start setting boundaries, maybe chasing bigger dreams, stepping into your purpose more fully, their discomfort becomes palpable. Imagine sharing really exciting news, a promotion, a personal breakthrough, and instead of genuine joy for you, you get maybe a backhanded compliment. Oh, wow, that's great. Surprised they picked you, but congrats.
Ouch.
Or they deflect, change the subject immediately, or just offer a very lukewarm response. Their investment, according to this view, is in your vulnerability, not your growth. Your independence, your self-sufficiency, it's perceived as a threat to their role, their power, their perceived importance in your life. And that leads to this visible shift in how they act around you. Maybe a subtle bitterness creeps in, or they withdraw emotionally, or sometimes even make outright attempts to diminish your success, to poke holes in it, the comfort they offered when you were down. It wasn't pure empathy, the sources argue. It was a way to keep control over a dependent version of you.
So they might mock your ambition, belittle your progress, or call your growth a phase, things like that. But the sources are crystal clear. That's not love. That's envy in disguise. That feels like a really crucial distinction for anyone listening to grasp, to move past just feeling disappointed by their reaction and recognize maybe the deeper, darker root of it. It's not genuine concern for you getting too big for your boots or whatever.
No, it's a reaction driven by their own internal feelings, inadequacy, threat, envy. And this highlights a core element of these dynamics described. Some people connect to your weakness, but actively resent your strength. They might say things like, don't forget where you came from, right?
Yeah, that old chestnut.
But the sources argue it's not said out of love or grounding. It's meant as a subtle reminder to shrink, to stay small, to stay manageable. They might constantly bring up past failures or your humble beginnings, but in a way that subtly undermines your current achievements, hinting you're getting ahead of yourself. The text suggests they secretly celebrate when you stumble because they fear your light and feed off your insecurity. This isn't love, that's control. It's about them maintaining a certain position relative to you, where your struggles keep them feeling superior or needed, and your successes. They expose their own stagnation, maybe, which they can't handle. They might even actively try to sabotage your efforts, forgetting to pass on crucial information, perhaps.
Oh, yeah.
Or subtly bad-mouthing you to others to undermine your reputation. They need you to stay in a place where their support, however conditional it is, feels indispensable to you. It's a really profound, maybe sobering recognition that not everyone who seems to care actually wants you to fully shine.
Weaponizing guilt and the power of boundaries.
Okay, let's talk about guilt, because that seems like a major tool in this dynamic. The sources describe it as a spiritual leash made of manipulation designed to keep you tied long after the relationship has expired. Wow, a spiritual leash. That's powerful imagery. It's like this invisible bond, right? But incredibly strong, constantly pulling at your empathy, your sense of obligation. What does that leash actually feel like day to day for someone caught in it?
It feels like this constant weight, I think. A sense that you can never quite get free, never fully detach, even when every part of you is screaming for some space, some air. They don't really care if the connection is healthy or mutual, the sources say. They only care that you stay close enough for them to keep pulling from you. Pulling your energy, your time, your loyalty, whatever they need.
Yeah.
And the moment you start to heal, maybe you try to pull back, set a boundary. They don't reflect, they don't apologize, they don't change their behavior, no. Instead, they weaponize guilt.
There's the weaponization.
Exactly. It's presented as this crucial pivot point. When you try to reclaim your autonomy, your own life, they don't meet you with understanding. They meet you with emotional coercion. They basically turn your own empathy, your desire to be a good person, into a tool to keep you trapped.
And the sources give some really classic examples of how this plays out, lines we've probably all heard or even felt obligated by. They'll remind you of all they've done for you, pulling out the historical ledger of favors, sacrifices, acts of kindness, often exaggerating them or twisting the context, right? They'll plead about how much they need you, making themselves sound completely helpless without you. They might even hit you with the big one, maybe with tears. After everything I've done for you, you're just going to leave me. These are designed to hit you right in the feelings, trigger that sense of debt.
Absolutely. These words are described as calculated to hit your softest spot, your empathy, pure calculation. They twist your compassion into a chain, convincing you that leaving equals betrayal, even when staying means betraying yourself.
Wow. Staying means betraying yourself. That's heavy.
It is. And the sources are totally unequivocal on this. Guilt is not love. It's a tactic of control. They don't actually want healing or a healthy relationship. They want access.
Yeah.
Access to you, your resources. They don't want partnership. They want possession. Understanding that distinction, that the motivation isn't love, but control and extraction that's presented as vital for breaking free, it helps you see through the emotional blackmail. So, for example, you tell them you need a weekend just for yourself to recharge. Their response might be, oh, but I was really counting on you to help me with a minor task, especially after I did that thing for you last month.
Ugh, the guilt trip.
Right. Or, I just don't know what to do without you. You're the only one I can rely on. This isn't presented as genuine connection. It's manipulation to keep you entangled, keep you available.
Which leads us straight into the importance of boundaries. This seems like the antidote. The sources state, your peace is your kingdom. Your boundaries are the gates, and not everyone deserves to enter.
I love that analogy. It paints such a clear picture of self-protection, like claiming your right to your own inner world. It's a great analogy. And it continues. When you say no, and someone treats it like the start of a negotiation, the sources say that isn't miscommunication, it's trespass.
Trespassing, yeah.
Repeatedly crossing the lines you've clearly drawn shows they don't value your autonomy, only their access to you. And access without respect is exploitation. That's another direct quote. These people, in this framework, operate with a sense of entitlement. They feel owed your time, your energy, your presence, regardless of your own needs or what you've explicitly said. They see your boundaries not as something to respect for your well-being, but as an obstacle to what they want from you, something to get around, wear down, or just ignore. So a simple no doesn't end the conversation. It kicks off a debate, or a guilt trip, or a lecture. It's not respected as a limit.
And they push, little by little, testing your resolve. It's often not a big confrontation. They use guilt to break you down with phrases like, wow, you've changed, implying it's for the worse, or you're being so distant lately. These are designed to make you second-guess yourself, right? To feel bad for just trying to protect your space. And ultimately, hopefully, from their perspective, make you drop your guard again. It sounds like a relentless campaign to wear you down.
It's described exactly like that. But here's the flip side, the power of boundaries, according to these sources. They don't just protect your peace, they expose who never respected it in the first place.
Ah, that's brilliant. They reveal the truth.
Yeah. Anyone who reacts with anger or passive aggression or just withdraws completely when you set a simple limit, they were showing you they were connected to your availability, not your value.
Oof, that hits hard. Availability, not value.
This demonic energy, and again, using the source's term for this intense destructive force, wears you down. Not always with rage, but with constant erosion, just chipping away, until you actually feel guilty for protecting yourself, which is incredibly twisted. They might give you the silent treatment, maybe spread gossip, or suddenly be too busy whenever you reach out. All designed as punishment, basically, for daring to prioritize your own well-being. It's this relentless, subtle assault designed to make self-preservation feel like you're doing something wrong, making you internalize the guilt for protecting your own peace.
So, the message needs to be heard clearly. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your life, period. Your time is sacred, your presence is a privilege, your peace is priceless. That's the core takeaway here from the sources, isn't it? A call to reclaim your sovereignty over yourself.
The ultimate deception, identity theft, and the counterfeit self.
Okay, let's shift to another form of manipulation described, which sounds particularly cunning, almost disturbing. The sources talk about a kind of infiltration, where some people study you, not to celebrate you, but to steal from you. It sounds like they're trying to become you, but for some darker purpose. It's not flattery, the sources say. It's like deep psychological espionage. That's unsettling.
It is unsettling, and the description is quite detailed. They watch your words, your habits, your style, even your energy, with this meticulous focus that feels almost obsessive when you look back on it. And at first, yeah, it can seem like flattery or intense connection. They laugh like you, speak like you, dress like you, even adopt your values. You might think, wow, we're so alike, or finally someone who really gets me.
Yeah, you feel seen, understood.
You might feel this amazing sense of connection, like finding a kindred spirit because they echo your thoughts, your passions, your mannerisms. But as the sources clarify, this isn't admiration, it's infiltration. It's presented as a calculated mimicry, a strategic mirroring, designed specifically to gain your trust, get close to you, creating this illusion of sameness to hide their real intentions.
Like building a Trojan horse, you said earlier.
Exactly. A Trojan horse right inside your inner circle, built from parts of you.
And the problem is they're not actually honoring you. They're wearing your identity like a costume, copying you so closely that they blur the line between who you are and who they pretend to be. It's like a spiritual identity theft, making it hard for others, and maybe even for you sometimes, to tell the original from the copy. How does that blurring of the lines actually benefit them?
Well, while you're busy processing this imitation, maybe feeling flattered or connected, thinking you found a soulmate, according to the sources, they're already moving in secret. Whispering doubts, planting seeds, casting shadows on your character, your intentions, your credibility.
Ah, so they use the closeness they gain through mimicry to undermine you.
Precisely. They might subtly suggest to mutual friends or colleagues, I don't know if they're really who they say they are anymore. I mean, they used to be so insert positive trait you have, but lately,
Yeah.
or they might say they've changed, they're not genuine anymore,
Yeah.
and maybe they say this right after they've perfectly copied some habit or phrase of yours, subtly associating that trait now with their new, supposedly authentic self while painting you as the fake.
Wow, that's incredibly manipulative.
It's described as a deeply deceitful strategy. Your own essence, your own identity, is used as a weapon against you. They leverage the familiarity and trust they built through imitation to discredit you from the inside.
And here's the part that sounds truly twisted. They use the version of you they copied as the standard, then position themselves as the real one while painting you as fake. The sources call this identity theft with a spiritual agenda. It's like a complete inversion of reality, designed to leave you feeling totally disoriented, discredited, like you're looking in a funhouse mirror and seeing a distorted version of yourself being presented as real.
And the sources state this isn't just garden variety insecurity, it's a parasitic spirit. And again, that term is used to describe this deep-seated pattern of behavior that consumes, takes, mimics, because it can't create on its own. A spirit that envies your light but has none of its own. It imitates because it cannot create.